Hey guys, welcome back to Resilient Man. So today we're going to be talking about knowing your worth, specifically in dating. And for you married guys, I've got some good suggestions for you as well because I've been there as well. So stick around, I'm going to give you some good suggestions or things to think about when it comes to knowing your worth when it comes to dating and even if you're married. So I was out for a walk today, and my mantra for life is know your worth, protect your peace. And that's what I finish all my videos with because that's a great reminder to me. Remembering who I am and what my worth is and making sure that my peace is always protected. There's no drama, there's no bullshit from other people. So I was thinking about that, knowing your worth, and how does that apply in dating? Well, like a lot of you guys, I'm out in the dating scene as well. I'm on dating apps, and it really is something that you need to remember and focus on in your connections and in your interactions with women. Otherwise, they can really jerk you around and get you chasing after them or pursuing or a wild goose chase or whatever you want to call it. Simping, which is even worse. So let's jump into this for a second. So I was thinking about this today, knowing your worth. And let's just start with the dating app, for example, because that's what most guys are on. And you're out there, man, you're trying to connect with a woman. It's extremely hard because even if you're, let's say on a scale of 1 to 10, you're a 6, 7, or an 8, even then it's still hard to get a woman's attention in this day and age because of our society and culture. You know, 3s and 4s think they're 9s and 10s because that's what society and culture has told them over and over. And you're a queen and you're special and you're all these different things. We know different because men were visually oriented and we know, nah, you're a 3. Nah, you're a 4. So that's what we're dealing with. So, and the reason these 3s and 4s think that too is because a lot of them have hooked up with Chad, the bad boy, and they took him home and, you know, did their thing for the evening. And so they thought, well, hey, Chad wanted me, so I must be an 8, 9, or a 10 because Chad wanted me. You know, sidebar, it just cracks me up how these women never realize or don't want to see Chad is never going to be with her as in a relationship. So anyways, so that's what we're up against with these dating apps. And it's it can be a frustrating thing if you don't remember your worth and what you bring to the table. And that's something I was thinking about today when I was on my walk, is knowing your worth, knowing you are the prize. I mean, many times when we talk about these situations and you say, you know, the women are out there looking for the 6s, the, you know, 6 foot tall, 6 figures, blah, blah, blah. And then you ask them, well, what do you bring to the table? And they, well, I bring me. I bring me. And the guy is like, well, shit, I'm bringing all this, you know, resources and stuff. And all you bring is TNA. And so a lot of us guys are like, really? That's all I get? So, but it can be frustrating though, because you're contacting or trying to contact women who are maybe let's say you're a 7, and you're contacting women who are a 7 or a 6 or maybe even a 5, and you're getting zilch, you're getting crickets, or you get very brief responses, or you might have you might message back and forth for a few times, and then poof, she's gone, and you're like, I don't get it. Well, don't let that get you down, and don't let that hurt your confidence and affect your self-worth, because the reason I wanted to make this message And by the way, if you like the content, please like and subscribe and comment. I'd love to hear, I like reading your comments down below. Don't let it affect your self-worth, because it literally is not you. And I wanted to share a few things with you on that level, because I know from talking to other guys, I know how it has affected me. That there are times I've been like, damn, what the hell is the problem? I can't get a woman to message me back. It's not you. It's really not. Unfortunately, it is our society and culture, and a lot of women they're delusional in what their sexual market value is. And so you have to guard against that, and you have to interact with them in a way that shows your worth and shows, look, you don't get to just enter my life. You need to be invited, and that means you need to show your worth as well. So anyways, we all experience this. I mean, shit, even Brad Pitt or whatever guy that you can think about who's a hot, famous movie star, if they weren't a hot, famous movie star, even those guys would have to deal with this shit in dating apps or in the dating world as well. I did this week. I mean, I've had women reach out to me and say, man, love your pictures, love your profile. You seem like an interesting guy. And we message back and forth. We might exchange phone numbers or even plan to meet for a drink. And then they're gone. And there's no explanation. And I've had conversations with women in my life, my sister and women friends. I'm like, why do they do this? And again, it is not you. It's not you. You have to factor in at least a third to 50% of the women that are on the dating apps aren't interested in meeting you or anybody else, for that matter. They're on there because they're bored, they want validation, they want attention. That's all it is. And so with that respect, you have to make sure you are not being a simp. And you guys know who I'm talking. If I'm talking to you, you know what I'm talking about. The guys who message a woman, oh, you're so beautiful, and I would be so lucky to take you out, and oh, can I please get your number, and all this shit. It's the worst thing you can do. It builds up their ego. It feeds their validation, which makes them, monsters, shall we say. And, they're not having to show their worth to you. They're not having to reciprocate effort and interest back to you. I never, ever send a woman a message and say, oh, I think you're hot, or anything like that. I look at her profile, I find something that might be interesting, and I comment, hey, I see you're into hiking too. I was just hiking out in Colorado. Hey, I see you love the beach. I'm a surfer. Those type of things to find a connection. I never mention her physical attractiveness. And then I always ask, what did you like about my profile? To get them to gauge how engaged they are. And it'll tell you a lot too, because a lot of them, just give you a bullshit response back, which shows they were doing what I call a drive-by, this is another part of it as well. It's not personal. You have women who, they like you, they like your profile, they like your pictures or what have you. They might say hello, they might say something, but as much as 50% or more it's like a drive-by shooting. That's all it is. And so you can't take it personally. I gauge it to see if they are really interested or were they just passing time. As soon as I figure out that, they just liked my profile, there's no real interest, boom, move on. Do not message them again. So that would be the first suggestion, is do not simp. Make sure that you are gauging their effort and their interest, and you are matching it. Because if not, it's one-sided, and she immediately sees you as less than. She immediately loses interest, quite frankly, because you are just not, you're not, women want a man they can look up to. They want a man that is quote unquote better than them. If you're chasing her, she doesn't see you that way. So make sure the effort and the interest is being reciprocated. Don't simp. Don't do that bullshit. You know who you are out there if you do that. And so the next thing that I would say is, after, well, let me add one more thing with the messaging, with the initial messaging. If I message a woman, she does not respond back within 24 hours, delete, move on. She's not interested enough because within 24 hours time, she had plenty of time to respond back. She's not interested, guys, move on. So that's that. The next thing I would say is the amount of messaging back and forth. Know your worth. You're not looking for a pen pal. You're looking to actually meet somebody, to have companionship, and maybe there's a connection there. Eventually you want sex, that type of thing. There's an end game in mind here. Keep that in mind and know your worth. And so after 4 or 5 messages, maybe 6 messages back and forth, I will tell them, hey, listen, you know, it seems like you and I have a good vibe together. Seems like we have some similar interest. Here's my phone number. Let's get together and meet for a drink. That's it. If I do not hear, if she does not respond, and with her phone number, if she does not respond and say absolutely, well, actually, she needs to respond with her phone number. If she doesn't, she's not interested. If she doesn't respond at all within 24 hours, delete, move on. Do not message her again. That makes you a simp. You are pursuing her, and it encourages her to see you as beneath her, as left in. So that is huge, so huge. If she does not reciprocate effort for effort, or at least matching you closely, effort for effort, move on, guys, because you should be, after, a few messages, you determine that. Personally, for me, it's probably about 4, 5, or 6, depending on what we're talking about. Then, hey, okay, we've already determined we like each other's profiles. Here's our numbers. Let's exchange them. Let's take this off to text. From text, let's plan a time to meet for a drink and such. But guys, it comes down to remembering you are the prize here. You are actually the prize here, not the woman, with what you bring. And by you insisting that she show respect and that she reciprocate, you're going to weed out the ones who are just going to waste your time, and you're going to get to the women who actually have an interest in you, which is what you want. That's what you want. You don't want to bullshit and waste your time. Yeah, all right, so let's say you've exchanged numbers, you moved to the text, now you're texting. Cool. Maybe you're talked on the phone. So the next step for me is to meet for a drink or a coffee. That's all I do. We're not going on a date. We're not doing anything like that. It's a drink or a coffee. We're going to meet for about an hour, and I will tell her, I will literally say that, hey, listen, seems like we vibe. I'd really like to actually meet you. My way of going about things is I like to meet for a drink or a coffee, maybe spend an hour or so together and see if there is a connection. And then from there, we can determine what next steps we're going to be. If a woman pushes back from that and she says, no, I don't want to do that, I want to go out on a date, blah, blah, blah. No, this is the way it is. If not, then I wish you the best. I'm not the guy for you. Know your worth. And you cannot let the woman dictate. I also would say you pick the place where you're going to meet for a drink or for a coffee. You do not go all the way to her side of town, for example. At the bare minimum, She needs to meet you halfway. You know, if you live 10 miles away, you're meeting somewhere in the middle. She needs to, you need to give her work to do. You need to make her make an effort and show interest. Otherwise, guys, she doesn't have the interest and you need to move on. So those are the things that I would recommend with that. And I think you'll be a lot more successful. You're going to go through a shitload of numbers. I go through a shitload of numbers. I mean, I had somebody ghost me this week after we messaged back and forth on the app. We exchanged numbers. We texted, then we talked on the phone. Good conversation. She was saying all this. She texted me the next day. I really enjoyed talking to you. I look forward to us meeting for a drink. This was on Monday. And Monday, I text her back because she had texted me and said, I can't meet on Tuesday evening. Can we do Thursday? I responded and said, yeah, sure. You know, I think I can do Thursday evening after 8 p.m. Did not hear from her. Did not hear from her on Tuesday. Did not hear from her on Wednesday. And Wednesday night, I think it was before I went to bed, I deleted her contact information, deleted the text, done. Because I hadn't heard from her in 2 days, which there's absolutely no excuse for that. I don't simp, I don't pursue, I don't beg, I don't chase, I don't text her and say, hey, what happened? Are we getting together? Screw that. Any woman who is not going to respond, that was just showing basic respect, is not a woman that you want. And again, she had voiced general interest and said, oh, I'm into you. I want to meet you. You're a great guy. I enjoy the conversation. Then she ghosted. Move on. Move on. People show you who they are, and that's a blessing. So that's what I would suggest from a dating perspective. So let's jump into the married guys real quick, because I was married too, and you need to remember your worth as well. You know, a lot of you guys out there are alphas or even sigmas, or were, shall I say, until you got married. And it's kind of like beta by 1,000 concessions. You're turned into a beta male by 1,000 concessions. And it's, one little concession year over year, over and over again. Don't do the dishes this way. I want you to do them that way. Or don't fold the towels this way. I want them this way. Or blah, blah, blah. You know the drill, guys. A lot of you guys are probably chuckling right now and nodding, hell yeah, that's my situation. Everything is corrected. And you need to remember your worth, and you need to make sure that you have those conversations with your wife, and that she knows your worth, because what happens, unfortunately, is that betatization, shall we say, by 1,000 concessions, over the years, she's losing respect for you, and she's losing interest in you. That's part of the reason why a lot of wives don't want to have sex with their husband, because their husbands have become simps. Look, I was that guy. I was in a marriage where I started off, very alpha or sigma, whatever you want to label it, and became more beta because the marriage was so bad, and I was trying so hard to save it and not, one concession after another. I'm sure a lot of you married guys can relate to that. It actually backfires on you. And it actually makes things worse. I would encourage you to stand up for yourself, know your worth, put your foot down in the areas that you feel that you need to, and not be a dick. I'm not talking about being a dick. I'm not talking about being an asshole, but make sure, listen, I am your husband. I am the leader of this home, and I don't need you correcting me, and I don't need you denigrating me on, whatever the case might be. So I would say that for you married guys out there. I also would add too, because this was my situation. When you've been in a marriage for so long and your worth has been denigrated and denigrated and denigrated, and it's obvious she has no respect for you. It's obvious, and it's not necessarily that that's your fault. It's just you've been beaten down, and that's the kind of woman she is, quite frankly. But she has no respect for you, and she does not see your worth. Your worth is basically your resources that you bring into the home, and really that's about it. I'm not encouraging divorce, but I would say you really need to consider your worth in the kind of man that you are and how you expect to be treated and be seen. She doesn't have to like it, but she does need to show respect. And consider that and really ask yourself, is this something that I can sustain for the long haul? Because if not, you got to ask yourself, what's going to change? And if nothing, am I willing to put up with this indefinitely? Just something to consider. So anyways, guys, that's what I've got for today's episode of Resilient Man. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Comment down below. I like reading your comments, and I really like to hear your advice too, especially, younger guys watching this need to hear this as well, because like anybody else, just because we're men, look, we want to be wanted. We want to be accepted. We want to be loved. We want all those things just like women do. But don't do it. Don't pursue it or chase after it, shall I say, at the expense of losing yourself and not knowing your worth, not remembering your worth. And you have a lot of worth. You have a lot of value that you bring to the relationship. So I hope this was encouraging. I hope it helps you. I hope helps you to kind of put things back into perspective if they weren't, and go about your dating methodology in a new way, or in your marriage, or what have you. So anyways, guys, remember what I said. Know your worth. Protect your peace.